Hello, welcome. It's a place in the quarter-finals or a flight home for England later as they prepare to take on Senegal in the knockout stages of the World Cup. The two countries have never met in a competitive fixture before. It's only the second time the current African champions have reached the last 16, but England won't be underestimating their opponents. Natalie Perks reports on how the players and the fans have been preparing for the big match.
In the rolling sand dunes outside of Doha, local entrepreneurs are doing a roaring trade. Whether it's camels or something less sedate, fans are finding there's more to Qatar than skyscrapers and footballing upsets.
I feel so relaxed. I mean, and the locals are so welcoming. Well, everyone's welcoming, and it's a great experience.
It's nice to try something different. So it's a challenge. But an enjoyable challenge, so well done to Qatar.
It feels that way for England too, so far.
And it's in from Bellingham.
No team scored, and they won their World Cup group for the first time since 2006.
And Dyer does it!
But knockout football brings with it the threat of penalties, precisely how it turned out in 2018.
Given England's recent history in knockout games, it was a game where we broke down a lot of barriers for us, I think, mentally.
The press, the media behind it all was we haven't won a knockout game for so long, but it was us wanting to create our own history.
Senegal also have their own history to chase. They're in the knockouts for the first time since 2002. Starman Sadio Mane towers over fans in central Doha, but injury robbed the team of his presence on the eve of the tournament. Whilst England have never played Senegal before,
and they strike back immediately!
The manager knows better than to underestimate them.
We know that we play an opponent that are champions of Africa and have belief that has come from that, and well organised with a lot of individual talent, so a tough challenge ahead for us.
For the first time ever, teams representing 6 continents made the knockouts, and it's already been a World Cup of shocks. But England fans are confident of a win tonight. Just don't mention the P word.
We were there last year in tears, so just please not penalties again, but I think we'll win.
If it goes to penalties, I'll probably leave.
Yeah.
And, I won't be able to watch it.
The Lions of Teranga are banking on English pride coming before a fall. Natalie Perks, BBC News, Qatar.
Our sports correspondent Alex Howell is already inside the Al Bayt Stadium where England's game will kick off this evening. Over to you.
That's right, I'm here where England will play Senegal later this evening, and coming into this match the real decisions that Gareth Southgate has to make are who is he going to play in those attacking areas. He has so many options, and he said yesterday in the press conference that necessarily isn't a bad thing. He has to choose between Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling, Phil Foden or Bukayo Saka. Harry Kane is also a talking point. He's yet to score in this tournament, but he told us yesterday that he's tapering his form to get better as the competition goes on. And for Senegal, if they feel like it's their time to make history, it's the first time they've been in the knockout stages for 20 years. There's been a lot of upsets in this World Cup, and Gareth Southgate will be hoping that England can avoid any scares and find themselves in the quarter-final of the World Cup.
Thank you very much, Alex. The government is making plans to use the military to try to minimise the impact of a host of public sector strikes due to take place between now and Christmas. In particular, they could be used when nurses take strike action later this month. We can go to our political correspondent, David Wallace-Lockhart, who's at Westminster for us this lunchtime. So, David, what are the plans looking like?
Well, Joanna, the government is still hoping strikes can be avoided. We heard from the Conservative Party chairman, Nadeem Zahawi, this morning asking workers to reflect on their plans. But he also employed some pretty provocative language. He talks about the idea of strikes in the run-up to Christmas being unfair. He actually said that they were exactly what Putin wants to see. And these sort of comments won't go down well at all with the unions. We actually heard from the Royal College of Nurses, who said that invoking the war in Ukraine was, in their words, a new low for the government. Now, of course, unions are saying their staff need pay increases to keep up with the cost of living, but the government is saying that what they're asking for is simply unaffordable. And that's why we're hearing about these plans for 2,000 members of the military, civil servants, even volunteers being trained to potentially step in to do certain roles, such as working at Border Force or driving ambulances. The Labour Party is saying that the government hasn't been active enough in pay talks, and that's why we're in this situation.
Thank you, David. Meanwhile, the Conservative Party chairman Nadhim Zahawi has said he'd like to see images of self-harm made illegal on the internet. His comments come as the government's online safety bill returns to Parliament tomorrow. The actress Kate Winslet has entered the debate about online harms ahead of a hard-hitting drama on the issue for Channel 4 being broadcast on Thursday, as Angus Crawford reports.
Perhaps more than any other, it's Molly Russell's story that influenced the online safety bill and alerted parents to the potential power of social media to do harm. Molly took her own life after being exposed to a stream of negative content.
What's the matter? Nothing.
Now, a powerful new drama about the damage of online addiction, destroying family relationships.
It's not perfect. Please stop. You are driving me to do this.
Starring Kate Winslet and her daughter Mia.
I really do struggle with social media. I struggle with the impact it's clearly having on teenage mental health. I do wish that our government would crack down on it. I do wish that there would be certain platforms that were banned before a certain age.
And she wants accountability.
Parents are left flailing, going, well, thank you so much, government, look what just happened to my child. And how can you possibly tell me that, oops, it's not my fault? There's people shirking responsibility all the time.
Online safety bill does complete.
The answer might be the online safety bill.
With the online safety bill.
Delayed.
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for...
And amended. It's taken years. But will be back before the Commons tomorrow. It contains new clauses, criminal offences around pornography and self-harm content, but dropped are plans for ministers to decide what legal material should be classified as harmful for adults and be taken down by the platforms. Although today the Conservative Party chairman seemed to want a further tightening of the rules.
What we've got to do for both children and adults, I think, is make sure that things like self-harm images should be illegal, and that's how you deal with them. But the right balance to strike is between that, free speech and freedom of expression, as well as dealing with this.
Labour, though, wants to bring back the legal but harmful clause.
If you look at what that is around, it's Russian disinformation, it's misogynistic organising online, the kind of so-called incel culture. There's a lot out there in that online space that I think goes beyond the impact on children and young people.
Who on earth is possibly messaging you at that time of night anyway?
Drama which reflects real-world concerns about social media. And in front of MPs, a complex bill, years in the making, dividing opinion, trying to right that balance between family and big tech. Angus Crawford, BBC News.
Iran's Attorney General says the country's so-called morality police, who enforce religious teaching and practice, including strict dress codes, has been disbanded. There have been weeks of violent protests over the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died after being arrested for allegedly not wearing her headscarf correctly. I'm joined by the BBC Persian Service's Siavash Ardalan. Siavash, is this a significant development?
It potentially is a significant development. That's why it's making headlines globally. But it should be taken with a grain of salt for a few reasons. First of all, the Attorney General made these statements as very offhand remarks to a reporter who asked him, where on earth are these morality police? That brings me to the second point. Why did the reporter ask that? Because ever since the protests began, the morality police have vanished. They are not to be seen anywhere. Mahsa Amini died in their custody, so people are very angry at the morality police. So effectively, they have been disbanded as far as the people are concerned. Thirdly, this statement has not been confirmed by other authorities, especially the law enforcement agency, of which the morality police was a subsidiary. And the fourth issue is that people are not taken to the streets because of the morality police or mandatory hijab, which is not being disbanded, the law itself, which the morality police was tasked with enforcing. It's just that particular unit is being disbanded. And as far as the protesters are concerned, it's too little, too late.
Thank you. England's cricketers have fought themselves into a potentially winning position in the first test in Pakistan. They lead by 262 going into the final day after some thrilling play on Sunday in Rawalpindi. The day began with the end of Pakistan's first innings. Joe Wilson was watching.
Day 4 in Rawalpindi began with Pakistan batting and time disappearing. Finally all out for 579 thanks to the bowling of Will Jacks, a last-minute selection, really a batter. On his debut, he took 6 wickets. We'll keep watching carefully, because now it was England's second innings, trying to extend their lead in the middle rapidly. Joe Root's trick shot. Still a thrill to see that in a test match, unless you're bowling. Almost amusing. Well, here's the same Root playing left-handed. Attacking, planning. How many did England need? Harry Brooks scored quickly and elegantly, the very essence of New England. On course for England's fastest ever 100 until... Still, job done. And England declared 342 ahead. They gave themselves a chance to win and Pakistan a chance too. Tempting. 1 down in their second innings. And then Babar Azam, the captain, the man, edged gone. 80 for 2, 1 day left. The match is alive. Joe Wilson, BBC News.
That is all from us for now. The next news on BBC One is at 5:15. Bye-bye for now.